Hey, today we're going to talk about simplifying fractions. So fractions that name the same amount are equivalent fractions. So for example, like 1/2 and 5/10, right? Both of those represent a half. A girls basketball team won 3 out of 4 games, with a boys soccer team won 6 out of 8 games. 3/4 and 6/8 are equivalent fractions, and both teams won the same fraction of games. So, for example, these boxes are all the same size, right? So if the girls' team, if I have my box divided into 4, they won 3 out of 4. So I'm going to shade 3 out of the 4 boxes. Okay, and then here's the same size box, but it's split up into 8 sections. And the boys' team won 6 out of 8. And if you look at that, that's the exact same amount. So what if there were 12 games? Let's say there's a baseball team. How many games would they have to win for it to represent the same thing? 3, 6, 9 out of 12. Okay, so 3/4, 6 over 8, and 9 over 12 all mean the same thing. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use multiples to write fractions equivalent to these other fractions. So what we learned earlier on in the school year, and what you should have known for a while now, is that if you have the same number in the numerator and denominator of a fraction, for example, 2 over 2. 2 over 2 is 1, right? Because 2 goes into 2 one time. And if you multiply anything by the number 1, it stays the same. So if I were to multiply the numerator, I would get 14 over 10. That means the exact same thing as 7 over 5. Okay, and it doesn't matter what number you pick. If I have 7 over 5 times 8 over 8, okay, I would get 56 over 40. That is an equivalent fraction. Okay, I could multiply 7 over 5 by 100 over 100 and get 700 over 500. All 3 of those fractions are the exact same amount. Okay, let's do example number 2. You can pick whatever numbers you want. Okay, I'm going to pick times 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. I'm going to pick 5. 2 times 5 is 10. 3 times 5 is 15. I might pick 10. 20 over 30. You could pick 15. 30 over 45. Okay, it really doesn't matter. They are all going to represent the same fractional amount. Okay, and then kind of the opposite of that is when you're given a fraction and you're asked to write equivalent fractions using factors. So in this case, we want to see what, that's a huge yawn. What 24, and 30 are both divisible by. Okay, so 24 and 30 are both divisible by 2, right? So I could write this as 12 over 15. What else are 24 and 30 both divisible by? They're both divisible by 6. So it could be 4 over 5. You could have divided them both by 3 and got 8 over 10. Okay, all kinds of different options. So let's look at 20 over 50. First one I see is those are both divisible by 10. That's 2 over 5. 20 over 50 are both divisible by 2. That would be 25 over 50. You could have done 5. Okay, so anything. So when it's asking you to find equivalent fractions using multiples, that means you're multiplying. And when it asks you to find equivalent fractions with factors, that means you're dividing. So now we're going to talk about simplest form. It says a fraction is written in simplest form when the numerator and denominator have no common factors other than 1. The GCF is the product of what you divided by to get it in simplest form. Okay, so here's what that means. So 12 and 24, those are both divisible by 2. That gives me 6 over 12. 6 and 12 are both divisible by 6. That gives me 1 over 2. Now, are 1 and 2 both divisible by anything? No. So my simplest form is 1/2. But now I need to look at, well, what did I divide by? I divided by 2, and I divided by 6. 2 times 6 is 12. That is my GCF. Okay, I could have divided by 12 right at the beginning, right? And then I would have said 12 divided by 12 is 1, 24 divided by 12 is 2, and that would have been my final answer. So you get the same thing, but sometimes it just ends up being in multiple steps. So like here, 8 and 12, those are both divisible by 4. That gives me 2 over 3. Are 2 and 3 divisible by anything the same? They are not. So 4 is my GCF. That's the only thing I divided by to get my answer. Let's look at number 7. Okay, I'm going to write it over here because we're going to do it in a few steps. Okay, those are both divided by 2 or divisible by 2. That gives me 8 over 24. Those are both divisible by 2. That gives me 4 over 12. Those are both divisible by 4. That gives me 1 over 3. Are 1 and 3 divisible by anything the same? They are not. So when I'm looking to find my GCF, it's 2 times 2 times 4. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. So why don't you pause the video and come down here and try these last 3, and then come back and check your answer. Okay, for number 8, you should have got 2 over 3, and the GCF is 50. For number 9, you should have had 5 over 6, and the GCF is 9. And for number 10, you should have 2 over 5, and the GCF is 9.